Welcome back. All right, game one is done. And we always have this discussion. Okay, this team is coming off of a sweep, right? So they're well rested. This other team's coming off of a 7-game series. They're in game shape. And I think there was some of that tonight. I don't think that is the entire story here, but definitely teams coming off of a sweep do usually have letdowns. I do believe coming into tonight there were 7 in a row, so this would be 8 in a row where a team coming off of a sweep, facing a team that just played a 7th game and won it, the team coming off the sweep has now lost, I believe it's 8 in a row, according to what they said on Sportsnet there, if I heard that correctly. So it was Vasilevsky versus Shesterkin, and this is going to be very entertaining. 30 seconds, a minute and 11 seconds in. Kreider scores from Zibanejad and Vetrano. I'm getting ahead of myself with the 30 seconds talk. So this was a 2-on-1. It was a great pass, and it's a one-timer. So can't really fault Vasilevsky on that. I can fault the defense there for the Tampa Bay Lightning on that. So that's the first shot, and it's in the net. First shot at 1:11. It's 1-0. Bolts press at 2 minutes. Chernak has a shot that's blocked. The shots are only one apiece at 4 minutes. There were times where this game seemed to settle into that defensive shell. It did not stay that way. Cirelli has a shot kicked aside. Hedman fires wide on a rush. McDonough takes Panarin off the puck with a really big check, which the crowd seemed to respect. Hagel has a chance kicked out. Things get pushy after a hold by Igor. So things getting a little physical. These teams really don't like one another. So the score is tied when Stamkos gets a goal from Ruda and Cirelli at 7:19. And that was only the 4th shot from Tampa. He wired it, and he scored on a pretty good press by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then the Bolts look for the lead. So this is where you can see them bouncing back and starting to really get into this here. Igor's denied Kucherov on a turnover. Fox then had a net feed that's defended. Fox then has a chance that deflects out. So Adam Fox all over the place. He's on a pretty good point-scoring streak as well. Paul to Kucherov on a 2-on-1 doesn't connect. The Bolts press. Then there's a net feed to Kucherov. That's cleared out. Mott has a chance defended as the Rangers start getting some zone time, which they didn't have a lot of earlier in the period. So the Bolts get pinned down. They're forced to ice it. Kucherov was then robbed in close on the play that followed that. Stamkos is denied. Chernak has a shot blocked as the Bolts press after a turnover. So got to watch the turnovers if you're the Rangers in that one. Lots of Igor chants so far, and those chants would change as the night went along. 3:11 left. The Rangers get a power play. Fox has a blast that's saved. The Bolts can't clear it out. Then there's a shorthanded Cirelli rush that kills off some time. Paul shoves Fox. The fans wanted a call there. They don't get it. Trouba has a shot that's blocked. Killed off with blocks and good saves. And I don't think there was a ref you suck chant tonight, so good on New York. 2 shots on that power play. The Rangers press after it ends. Fox wires one wide on a rush during the closing seconds. And so it's 1-1 after 1. The Rangers, I thought, played a solid period. So did Igor Shesterkin. And so we're going to the second period. Early press by the Rangers. Miller has a shot that's saved, and the rebound on that was cleared. Zibanejad had a net feed cleared out. The teams are exchanging turnovers, which is dangerous. Mentioned that before. Strome then had a sharp angle shot that was held. The Rangers press at 4 minutes. Cirelli to Palat on a 2-on-1. Vetrano denies it. Just denies it. He came back. It started out as a 2-on-0. He comes back, and he gets a stick in the middle, so they can't make the pass to get what would have likely been a goal there. Colton then had a wraparound that was saved. Hagel can't bury one as the Bolts press. Miller then had a net feed that was blocked at the other end. Pretty wide open hockey, and very surprising to me how wide open this game was at points. And I would imagine both coaches probably not very happy with the amount of scoring chances, both directions on that. Things get pushy after a hold by Vasilevsky. Paul then had a rush chance that was saved, and then they recovered one in the Bolts zone. Basically, the Rangers had it, they lost it, and they get it right back. Fox gets it to Vetrano, and at 7:50, wired from the middle of the ice, there's Frankie Vetrano with one, and so that gives the Rangers the lead. And then Panarin to Strome, his chance deflects out, so the Rangers are looking for another. But at 8:32, less than a minute later, the Tampa Bay Lightning do tie it again. It's Palat from Stamkos and Sergachev. Palat backhands a rebound into the net. Braun then had a chance that was saved, and at 10:09, Hedl puts the Rangers back into the lead, 3-2. from Kako and Lafreniere. And the interesting thing with Lafreniere is that, he seems to be getting better and better with each game. So I honestly think that we're seeing a star being created during this playoff run for the New York Rangers. And that was a really good press by the kid line. That line has been very good for them. And again, it keeps reminding me of the Oilers line back in 1990 because I'm really old. So, the kid line keeps improving. Zibanejad was then denied after a turnover. The shots are 13-5 for the Rangers with 8.5 minutes left. They would even up a little bit before the end of the period. But, the Rangers are really pushing the play at this point. So, Cirelli has a rush chance blocked. The Bolts would press. Killorn was denied on a fast break. And we get some more Igor chance, which were plentiful and frequent in this game. Kopp has a net feed that's blocked. The Rangers press. Kako has a shot deflect wide. It's all Rangers. All Rangers. And then Hedl gets his second goal in a little over 5 minutes from Miller and Lafreniere at 15:43. So, Laff with a couple of assists, Hedl with a couple of goals, and Hedl is now looking like the John Druce of the 2022 playoffs. Again, I'm old. That's an old reference. Dominant shift for New York, and this was a very impressive game. And again, a team coming off of Game 7, very sharp, very determined. And importantly, they didn't have any kind of meeting or anything before this game. Gerard Gallant saying, no, we know what they are, they know what we are. Don't need to have a meeting to go over everything. These guys know them. Not only that, but remember, I pointed out in the preview this morning, the Rangers never lost to Tampa Bay during the regular season. So even though the postseason is a different beast, the Rangers already know they can beat this team. And I think psychologically, I think that makes a little bit of a difference, especially at the start of a series. Once we get into the depth of this series, we'll see whether or not the Rangers can put together this kind of a night again. So cross-ice pass on that goal, and it's one-timed in by Hedl. Kucherov's then denied on a one-timer at the other end. Igor holds on to that. Bogosian has a blast saved as the Bolts press. And honestly, I thought that second period was as close to perfect of a period as the New York Rangers have had in the 2022 playoffs. Third period, 30 seconds in, and it's a 2-on-1 off a turnover. Panarin scores from Kopp and Trouba. So the Rangers basically make it so there's no doubt at this point. And honestly, I put Rangers lead 1-0 as soon as the score was 4-2 because I was trying to think of how can Tampa get 5 goals in this game with the way they're playing tonight, and I couldn't come up with an answer. So I had a feeling the Rangers were going to hold that. Bolts then get a power play. It was their first to that point in the game. Perry has a shot deflect wide. Kucherov's denied. Igor gets shaken up. It was a stick to the mask from Stamkos. And the way that Igor went down, I'm really surprised he didn't have to go to the quiet room. I have seen guys taken to the quiet room and pulled out of games for less than that. And for a perception of maybe, I'm not saying he was concussed, just that consistency is important. And I've seen other goaltenders taken out on plays that looked very similar. So Igor was fine. I'm not saying he wasn't, just I'm surprised that they didn't take him out there. So Kucherov has a blast that's blocked. Palat had a shot that was held. The power play's killed off. And then the Rangers get a turn on the power play. Zibanejad was all over the ice on that power play. He has a shot that deflects out. His next one's fired wide. He had one that was saved. And then he scores. So Zibanejad from Panarin and Fox at 6:06. And so the Bolts try to answer. And this is where the Igor's better chance start. I mean, being a wrestling fan, I know MSG comes up with great chance. I get it. And I'm hoping at some point in time in my life, I'm able to go to MSG and enjoy a hockey game. Because, and maybe a wrestling event, right? Because MSG just has this whole mystique that I would love to take in person. And you could feel it in this game as well. The Bolts get a power play, though, with 11:32 left. There's a pass to Kucherov. That's intercepted and cleared. And it's killed off. Relatively easy kill for the Rangers there. And I had expected a little more pushback than we saw from Tampa. Hagel then defends a Hedl rush. Belmar's denied. Igor holds. The Bolts press with 6 minutes left. Strome's denied on a rush. The Bolts press again with 3.5 minutes left. Strome nearly adds one. The Bolts clear it out. Kucherov fires one high. Sergachev's denied on a net drive. And then with 146 left, things get kind of punchy. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm wondering if the NHL, if Department of Player Safety is going to throw a fine at Reeves or at Maroon or at both. Because there were punches thrown over top of a linesman. There's no damage done, but just the fact that a linesman ends up kind of tangled up with them and there's kind of a dog pile going on and the linesman's in the middle of it. I will agree with Louis DeBrusque on something. It has been frustrating me all year. I don't understand why they don't want to let players fight. I don't understand why, when you've got Ryan Reeves on one side and Pat Maroon on the other, you don't just back off and let them drop the gloves and fight. Linesmen are taking their lives in their hands, and I'm only being mildly facetious in saying it. I don't understand. I don't get it. Let them punch it out. 5 minutes. They're out of the game. There wasn't, there's only 146 left in the game. They kicked him out anyways. And so what ends up happening is what would have just been a fight and done becomes this long, overwrought sort of pushing, shoving fest where there were punches being thrown by various players. So they throw some guys out, and the Bolts come out with a power play. Now the Bolts were getting a power play on it anyways. When when Gallant was told they were getting a power play, I hope you couldn't read lips, because he did not agree. He was not a fan of the idea that Tampa Bay was getting the power play out of that. So Kucherov is a shot that saved. The Rangers cleared out. And in the last minute, the fans, who were absolutely one of the highlights of the game, were quite loud and quite excited. And for the New York Rangers, right now they have 9 wins in the playoffs. You need 16 for a Stanley Cup. Hey, it's there. So they win 6-2. They lead the series 1-0. Game 2 is now very, very much a key game. And the Rangers have shown that home ice is important to them. They've been very good at home. We will see if it's important in Game 2 and how Tampa Bay adjusts and comes back. Now, the 3 stars, the app didn't have the 3 stars before I started this review, so I only wait a certain period of time, and they're like, fine. So to me, the 3 stars of this game, Shesterkin to me is the first star. Tampa Bay had some very good opportunities, especially in the first and the third. In the first, where you need those saves, they got him, and in the third, he was a wall. Second star I gave to Hedl, because he had the 2 goals, and then the third star, I figure Mika Zibanejad, because he was all over the ice at points and very entertaining. And so there you go. The shots, 12-8 Tampa in the first, 17-10 Rangers in the second, 17-9 Tampa in the third. Final shots, 39-34 for Tampa. Power plays, 0 for 4 for Tampa, 1 for 2 for the Rangers. Hits were 26 each. Block shots were 14 each. So this game, honestly, was pretty close. Just the score wasn't. Vasilevsky saves 28 out of 34. He's got to fix that. They got him moving. Weren't they shooting blocker side on him? They seem to have an idea of how to beat him. And once the team has an idea of how to beat a goaltender again, good goaltenders adapt. I expect Vasilevsky to adapt. Shesterkin, 37 saves on 39 shots. Just fantastic night for him. And again, MSG, they just have to win at home. They have home ice advantage in this series. So for Tampa Bay, they have to try to steal that in Game 2. Will they? We will find out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, regarding this game. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And this was one of the most entertaining games I have watched in these playoffs. And I'm glad I saw it, because just pretty crazy action overall. And hey, Rangers an underdog. What's not to like about the story? Unless you're a Bolts fan, in which case you want that three-peat. We'll see which storyline comes out ahead once the series is done. But right now, the Rangers have that edge. Can they keep it in Game 2? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.